Hi everyone, this is Dartipat. In today's video, we will see how to set up workflows in Zoho People. We will take leave approval workflow as an example and we'll learn how we can set leave approval and different approval level in Zoho People based on our policy and organizational requirements. So let's get started. For that, navigate to settings, time off and approvals. So here we can define a different level of approvals based on the different leave applications and as per our policy. Let's take an example that we are having a leave approval flow which will be applicable for each kind of the leave during when employee is applying for that. Another, we are having a compensatory request. Then the compensatory request should be following a particular way for the approval process. Then it will be a different workflow under the system. Long leave application will be a different kind of the workflow that we need to define under system, that this particular flow will not be following the another kind of the applications. For example, we are having a normal leave approval flow. Then click on leave approval. If you are having any certain criteria for any kind of the particular leave, then you can define that criteria. For example, maternity leave. So maternity leave approval flow will not, it will be not the same same as per the other leave applications. So this is the different kind of the leave. So it should be first level of approval we need to define as a reporting manager or HOD, and then it should be approved by HR manager. So from here we can set a criteria. We can select the criteria fields. For example, if it's a leave related field, then from here we need to select leave type. If leave type it contains maternity leave, then this workflow should be following the particular steps of approval. So here we can define the criteria based on a requirement. Same as if we are having any certain limitations, or we can say that if we are having any certain processes for any other field type. Let's take an example for department. So this particular department's employees leave application should be following in such a manner or in such a processes. Then we need to define if department contains, for example, here human resource, then this leave type will be following under these certain processes. For example, we can say that if this department, if department is human resource, then only human resource management department head, HOD of the HR department will be approver for this, for the HR department's employees leave application. So here we are having a different criteria. We can select the criteria based on a requirement. We can have a leave based criteria, system based criteria, cumulative field based criteria. That current leave type balance will be, if it's a less than 5 days leave balance, then this leave application should be following another such manners, and it should be the approval flow will be defined the differently. So based on that cumulative field and system fields and leave fields, we can define our different criterias. So here I am not selecting any criterias. I want to applicable for all leave type can be approved in this flow. So here I'm if here system is giving you the option, if you can either configure approval levels or allow the system to auto approve or auto reject the leave application of your employees. So here we can configure approval level. So if you are having a single level approver for the leave application, then you can define a single level. This single level approval will be a reporting person, whoever you have defined under employee's personal profile. So the reporting manager will be receive the notification of leave application for that particular employee. So here we have to define that reporting to who will be the approver of leave application. Then it's a single level. A reporting to a reporting manager will be approver. If we want to define a 2 level, 3 level, we are having a 10 level of approval flow. So if you are having a 2 level of approval, you can define a 2 level. It means the first it will be notified to employees reporting manager and then the manager's reporting manager. So here we are having a 2 level of approval. We can add a additional approval criteria. For example, if once it's approved by the 2 level, then who will be the final authorized person to approve the leave? So here we can define a department head of the record owner. So once 2 level approver, the leave is approved, then it directly send system will directly send the notification and email to department head of the record owner. Means it means the HOD of that particular department under which the employee is following. So here the third level of approval will be department head. You can define approval based on role. So if any particular role will be authorized to decide a final approval of the leave or any final approval, then you can select the role of approval from here. Let's take an example, HR head. Once the leave application is approved by 2 level, then final approval will be HR head. System will notify and send an email for the leave approval directly to HR head. So here how we can add our approval level. From here, this is a message section. We are having a system configured message section that how it will be sent to all the approver of the leave applications. So here you can change your email template if you want to add or remove any of the particular process, or you want to draft any customized email for the leave application, you can define from here, and by simply save. This will be your leave approval flow. Once your employee will apply for a leave, it will be following the same process of approval, whatever you define under the approval flow. Here, additionally, we are having an approval settings. Once we define the approval flow, then we are having an approval settings. From there, we can define how the flow will be worked. If an approver is not set, or if any specific criteria we want to set for the approval level. So here we need to compulsory mandate, we need to select any of the form for which we want to set the approval settings. If we have we have selected the all approval criteria, we don't get that option for the settings. So here I am managing the approval settings for leave applications. Click on that. We are having approval preferences under that. Allow users to view approval details and documents. So whatever the restrictions or if any of these such specific policy you are having, or you want to allow your employees to check the records, their honors record, or whatever, that you can simply define that criteria from here. Okay, so we are having allow users to view approval details and documents. So yes, user can view and check the documents whatever they have uploaded. So from here we can enable this option when the intermediate approver have approved, or when the final approver has approved, or if any of the approver has rejected. So we have a different criteria. at which time you want to allow the users to check their documents. So here I have enabled both the option already. Approver options. So approval request can be forwarded from one individual approver to another. So in case of the same approver in multiple level, for example, if any of the person is having a manager is approver and also that manager is departmental head. So when you have set a two level of approval processes for approval level, one is for managers and then second is for HOD. At that time, this request will not be sent at the each level or your final level only or first level only. Then then we need to enable this option first level only, because in this case approver first level of approval and second level of approval both are same, manager and HOD. So we have to just give that request forwarded to one level only. Approver comments mandatory for approving the request and rejecting the request. So yes, if you want to allow that to add comments, or you want to mandate to add the comments while approving or refusing the leave. So by enabling this option, approval will be it will be mandatory for the approver or all the approval level. Then they need to add the comment why they are approving or why they are rejecting the request. So I don't want to mandate that comment for approving the request, but yes, I want a comment for the approval person while they are rejecting the leave. Next is backup approval process. So when given criteria is not met for the specific and which alternate process we want to define for the approval process. So for example, if we are having a single level of approval, but we have not defined any reporting manager under employees personal data, employees personal information, then how you want system to work and define this criteria and it should be approved, or what you want to define when the approval is not there. So from here you can set a specific criteria that it should be automatically sent to department head of the record owner or department head or department members or anything. So from here we can define the department head of the record owner. So if reporting manager is not there or reporting manager will not approve, it will be directly redirected to the department head of the record owner for the approval process. When an employee has no approver assigned as per the configuration, specific and alternate approver. So we have not defined any of the specific approver or any of the alternate approver. Then how you want to system to trigger this action? Then approver based on role. So there is no department head or no any of the approval level, or not to define any reporting person at that time. This system should trigger this leave application to based on the role, and I am defining over here HR head. If there is no criteria is not matching and we have not set at the approval level, then it should be go to the HR head for the further approval process. Enable approval for cancellation. If you want to define the cancellation process in case of they want to cancel, approval level for the cancellation process, then you can just enable this option and from here select cancellation approver. So based on previous approver. So yes, we can define over here if there is an approval cancellation, then only previous approver can cancel this process. Initiate cancellation approval even when administration can cancel a request. So of course admin have a full rights to approve and refuse the request, but if you want to enable such option, if admin have cancelled the request, then after you want to initiate that cancellation request after refusing or after cancelling by the admin, then you need to enable this option. I don't want to allow this enable this option, so I am just simply save this criterias. So this is how we can create the approval settings under approval preferences. Second, we are having turnaround time preferences. So under the turnaround time, we can define that a particular leave request is not proceed or it's not completed by the either it's an approved stage or in a rejected stage. Then how many days you want to define a TAT for that particular leave request. So here we can define the leave request, for example, 2 days. If within a 2 days a leave is not approved or any refused stage, then it will be reminded approver in 1 day, or we can set the criteria based on hours. So within a 4 hours, before a 4 hours of TAT reached, it will system will be reminded to approver that they need to approve or refuse this particular leave. It means they need to take an action for that particular leave. So here we can define a TAT and reminded approver TAT time. When approval duration exceeding TAT in the intermediate level, then how you want to set a system that how system will work. So it will be auto approved and move to the next stage, or auto rejected or assigned to any further authorized person, any higher authorities. So when approval duration exceeds my TAT time, then I want to assign this to employees reporting to whatever the based on that group and role and department, we can define the assignees for that particular if not taken any action in the applied leave. So at that time it will be directly go to the reporting to person, or it will directly go to employees, any of the specific employees you are having, for example team lead or department HR department executive, that person you can define directly from here. And here we have defined reporting to person, the reporting manager of that employee. When approval duration exceeds TAT in that final level, if it's final level still it's pending, then how you wanted to system to be execute the action. Then if final level of approval, the reporting manager of reporting manager, it's not responding or it's still pending from them side, then system will be requested will remain pending for approval. So remind final approver once in a 1 day when request is pending instead. So I wanted to trigger a reminder in every single day for the to pending approval process. So here we can define the TAT time for the particular leave processes and approval if it's not approved and rejected stage. So this is from here we can save this, and our leave approval flow will work automatically whatever we have configured under the approvals. So same for the same process you can define the approval process for the different kind of the leave. If you are having any certain criteria for any particular leave type or any records, so here you can define the approval flow. Thank you.